Today it is Tuesday and it is February 28th, 2023. I don't know about you, but I have a difficult time with birthday cards. I always want them to look heartfelt and convey my condolences, but I also like them to be subtle. Um, so today we are going to use the Seaside Bay bundle with the By the Bay designer series paper, and I'm going to show you how to make a really pretty sympathy card. So I am going to stop talking and we are going to switch over to my desktop and get started. Okay, hopefully you can see me well. I am going to remove the banner from the front of the screen just so you can see a little bit better. Okay, and nothing is in your way. If you're with me live, please leave me a comment with your name and where you're from. So let's get started. We are going to be using the Seaside Bay bundle. It consists of both the stamps and some dies and some gorgeous designer series paper. It's by the Bay, and it is 6x6 sheets. You get 12 different designs back and front, 4 sheets of each for 48 sheets. And I just want to show you the paper quickly. Beautiful colors. The colors are petal pink and mint. Is it Coastal Cabana, Balmy Blue, Night of Navy? You have some gold and pearl inlays on all these papers, but just really, really pretty. It also looks like there's some mint macaron in there, but look at these gold inlays. You get over to here and you have pearl inlay and some pearl inlay here too. Now, if you flip it over, you have these beautiful watercolor designs in here. And then you have a boardwalk or a wood design. And this is the one we're going to use today. So I'm going to pull that out. Now I'm going to go over here and bring in the other 6. And these all have the gold and pearl inlay too. Hopefully you can see them. But there are dies that will cut some of these images out. So like the crab and the shells. From all these different designer series paper. One of the other papers we're going to use today is this one. So, and if I flip them over, again, we have the gold and pearl inlays. So just beautiful, beautiful papers. Okay, so we are going to get started. I've done some pre-cutting. And I guess I'd love if you're with me or watching me on the replay. Thank you. And if you're returning, I really appreciate your support and returning. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I am so glad you're here with me. Now, don't worry about measurements because all the measurements are going to be right down below the video by 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, where you'll get to, I'm going to raise this up a little bit so you can see a little bit better. Where you'll be able to download a PDF tutorial. This is, what am I using? Sahara sand, and it is cut at 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. So let's go ahead. We're going to fold it on the score line, and I'm just going to burnish it with my bone folder. There you go. Okay, now I want to use some mint macaron. I want to layer. I want to get some nice layers to this. So I cut a piece of mint macaron, and I am at 4 5 1/4. And then I want to use, this is the piece of designer series paper I want to use. And to me, this almost looks like a coastal line or sand. So we're going to cut this because I'm going to show you. I'm going to cut it more towards the right because I want to pick up that Night and Navy, and I want more of the sand look. This is going to be 3 3/4 by 5. So we're going to go on over to here. And you have this piece that you can use later on. And we're going to use a piece of that probably for our inside. And then I want to cut off, I'm going to take from the top so that I have what looks like, I don't know, some water. And we may use this for the bottom of our inside card. So let's go ahead, and I want these water or the waves, what looks like here, and I'm going to cut this at 3/8 of an inch. And we're going to let's set that aside for our inside. All right, we can get rid of this and we're ready to roll. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to adhere these with some multi-purpose glue. I'm going to go ahead and adhere this to our mint macaron. Now, mint macaron isn't one of the colors that shows up in the paper, but it really pulls in, as you'll be able to see here in just a minute. And I don't do much straight, so it takes me a minute to line it up, and that looks pretty good. So you can see, though, you almost have some mint macaron tones in there. So that was why I chose to go with that. Now, there is Coastal Cabana in this paper, so you could do that. So lots of different options. And let's go ahead, and we're going to adhere this to our front. All right, now we're ready to add some design to the front of this card. So a couple things you can do. I have some parts here that I want to set off to the side and show you. Now, you could use this paper, and you have dies. Let me bring these Seaside Bay dies in for you to see here. This die of our, I forget, it's not a seagull. I forget what he is. But it fits, and you can cut that out, and it cuts out really easily. And I did do that to show you. I have him cut out here. Isn't he cute? So you could do that. The crab cuts out if you want that. But we're going to use our sandpiper. That's what it is, a sandpiper. Came back to me. So I want to show you how to stamp that sandpiper and add a little bit of color or character. Now, the sandpipers are pretty bland in color, and I already have it mounted here for us. So what I thought I would do is we're going to stamp him using crumb cake. And then I pulled in my Stampin' Write marker, and this one is soft suede. And we're going to add just a little bit of color to our sandpiper. Now, this is a cling stamp, so we do not need to use a piercing mat. I tend to turn my stamp pads over because I think I get more color. I don't stamp or press down hard. And now I'm going to use the wide end of my Stampin' Write marker, and I'm just going to add a little color to the beak. I'm going to follow around, adding a little bit of color to his tail, and then I want to add some color to his back and bring some of this on down. So just a little bit. Okay, now if you're worried about the ink drying, you can always huff on your stamp, and it will re-moisten it from the heat of your breath. But look here's our little sandpiper. Isn't he cute? And I did one ahead of time last night and cut him out. So 2 ways that you can add him to your card. Now I'm going to show you a card later on when we're done. Stay with me through to the end where we use this one. But I think for today, we're going to use this one and just make it a little bit different. Now I want to add some grass behind him, and you do have some dies that allow you to add grass. So when I first started making this card, I did cut some grass out of cardstock, but when I put it up against, it just didn't do much for me. So what I did, and I want to show you that, is I took one of the pieces of designer series paper that just was watercolored with some splatter and some um, balmy blue and coastal cabana. And I used that die to cut out two pieces of the grass. And I thought it added a little bit more to the card. So use your designer series paper in other ways too. So let's go ahead and we're going to take these two pieces of grass and we're going to just see where for placement. I like him right about here. So I want to put my grasses behind him. So let's go ahead and I'm going to bring in some fine tip glue and I'm just going to add a little bit of glue, and I want to make sure I get the tips, and you can see I'm just dotting it very lightly, but I want to make sure I get all the ends, and then I want to get this one. So this one's going to be the first one I lay down, and let's see with him here. That's good. It's going to be hidden. So let's press this one down. All right, now I can add my smaller one and I'll know right where to add it. So let's go ahead and I'm going to add some glue to this. You can see on the back, this is one that has the foils on it. Okay, and let's just I just want to bit this up. Whoops, stuck to my finger here. I want this to cross over. All right, so I think we're good. Now, for our sandpiper, I am going to glue his feet, but I'm going to pop the rest of him up with Stampin' Dimensionals. So let's go ahead and we're going to get our Stampin' Dimensionals on him first. Now, I'm using the larger Stampin' Dimensionals, but I've cut them in half, which I tend to do a lot. It just they go a little bit further, and it just works for me. So if you're looking for a way to save on using your Stampin' Dimensionals, that is a great way to do it. Okay. Now I want a little bit on his beak, so I'm going to grab my scissors and I'm going to trim just a very small piece off the end of my dimensionals. And I'm going to add it. Oops, let's turn it around so you can see. I'm going to add it right on the tip and it carries back. All right, so I'm going to put my glue on. Now I'm putting my glue on before I take off the backs because then my glue kind of sets up a little bit and gets a little tacky, and it's less likely to kind of smush out the sides. So that's a trick I've learned. All right. There we go. So I want him right about here. And you can see his feet are down, but the rest of him is kind of popped up. Now I wanted to add some of shells. And in the stamp set, I'm going to bring in, this is got some sand and seashells. And I'm going to stamp it and show you what I did with it. Oops. So we're going to bring back in our sandpiper. And there is a die that cuts this out. But if it cuts it out, it only cuts out the 3 shells. So what I did is fussy cut it. So let's stamp this, and then I'm just going to show you how I colored it to give it a little bit of subtle color. I hope you're having a good week. It's the beginning of the week, so I surely hope it's good for you. All right. Now I brought in 3 Stampin' Blends. I brought in my light petal pink. I have my light mint macaron, and then I brought in my light gray granite. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to use the bullet point of my Stampin' Blends rather than the brush. And I'm just going to go in and add some color, trying to pick up what normally, when you're at the beach and you see some shells, you see a mixture of color. So I'm going to come in now with my mint macaron and just going to go ahead and lightly add some color to this. Now, one of the colors I would have used, but it's retired, I thought would have been beautiful on this was Seaside Spray. And now I'm going to come in with my gray, and this almost kind of comes in like a light blue, and just add a little bit, and then come back in with my petal pink and just add a little bit of that. Now you could add some Winkostella to this and add a little bit of shine, but let me pick these up so you can see how they're colored. Now I went ahead and did it, and I fussy cut this out. So we're going to pop this up here with some Stampin' Dimensionals. Now, I do want to remind you, today's the last day of celebration. So if you were thinking of ordering and wanting to, I'm going to grab my pick tool here because these are sticking to my hands. If you wanted to order something and you still have some free products that you can get with the celebration, today's the last day to be able to do that. And I also want to remind you that tomorrow, for the first time, we are going to be seeing those online exclusives. And even we, as demonstrators, don't know what all those online exclusives are. I had one was the Irresistible Blooms, which I had used a couple weeks ago to show you something. But I know there's many others coming and we don't know what they are. So they're going to be just as new for us as they are for you. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this on right about here. And then I want to add a greeting. So my greeting is actually from the stamp set. This stamp set I think is great, but I also think it'd be great to use with any other greetings that you may have. So this one has Heartfelt Sympathy, which is the one we're using, and then Thank You for Everything, and You're a Pearl, Rare and Precious. So we're using the Sympathy one. And I went ahead and stamped it using my crumb cake. My mind blanked. And I cut it out with the banner from the Stylish Shapes dies. And then I also cut a banner from using the crumb cake. Now I'm going to split this down the middle because I like to add it to my greetings. I think it adds a little bit and just makes it stand out or pop a little bit more. So let's go ahead and we're going to add this. And I'm just going to pick it up and overlay it on top of that banner. And then we're going to do the same for the top here. And we're going to pop it up with some Stampin' Dimensionals. And our front is just about done. So let's flip this around and then just lay it down. Oh, it didn't stick. Hold on here. Once you get it there, you have to press it down. Now this one's a little bit crooked, so I'm going to just straighten it up and we're good to go. So let's add some dimensionals to this one, and I'm going to use full ones here and go across the middle. more for time's sake than for anything else. And let's pop this on right about here. Okay. I don't want to get my head in the camera, so that looks good. Now, to decorate the outside, I thought I would bring in the faux sea glass shapes and add just a few shapes where our shells are. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to pick these up for some color. And let's add one here. And let's add a smaller one over here. All right. Now you have the clear ones, which we could add. You always want to do odd numbers because they're a little bit more appealing to the eye. So I'm going to do 2 of these. So we have a total of 5 of these little sea glass shapes on here. And I think that looks good. So let's go to our inside, which will be quick and easy to do. We are going to bring in another piece of cardstock, which is the 4 by 5 1/4. We're going to glue that down for a layer. All right. And then I want to show you my greeting for the inside is from Sending Support. This is a celebration stamp set, and I'm putting sending loving thoughts and prayers. So let's go ahead and stamp that. And we're going to bring our crumb cake back in. And we're going to stamp that up towards the top. I use my grid paper to try to make sure things are straight for me. All right. And now what I thought we'd do is do those seashells again on the inside rather than adding paper. You could add a strip of paper. You had that leftover paper here. I had cut a 3/8 inch strip. You could add that to the inside and leave it go at that. Or we could stamp these shells, which to me are kind of peaceful. And then we're just going to color those in really lightly. So if you liked today's video, I would love it if you'd give me a thumbs up and help me grow my channel. And if you're new to my channel, hit that subscribe button right there. And you will get notified when I go live or when I post a new video. So let's see here. Add a little bit of this gray. And we're done. So let's add this to the inside of our card. And then I'll show you the other card. Oh, I have a little piece of the backing from a Stampin' Dimensional there. Let's just straighten. Okay, so here's our card. Here's the Heartfelt Sympathy with our sand, I think he's Sandhill. And then here's the other one where I actually used the stamped bird. So 2 really different, very same cards rather, but different because you have a little different look with the using the Designer Series paper bird and using the one that's stamped. So let's bring those down a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to switch back over. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I sure enjoyed doing it for you. Good morning, Dixie, and thank you for joining me. So I hope you have a great week. Stay safe and well, and I will be back on Friday at 11 a.m. Have a wonderful week, everybody.